Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.
It has been long overdue to expose the truth that the Democrats and Republicans are sucking the life out of America's liberty and usurping our rights at every turn. Now is the time to seize our civil liberties and take back our individual rights. Here on Southern Liberty, we will expose it all. With his musket on his back, the Declaration of Independence in one hand, and the Constitution in the other, here's your host, Roderick Threets.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Experience Today with my lovely co-host, as always, Miss Valerie Zen in the cut, always giving me curveballs, softballs, knuckleballs, screwballs, all those balls. I can't swing my bat that good, so she she makes it swing and miss all the time. But well,
I would never.
It's like no. I'd rather you make me want to dodge the ball than try to hit it. I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. I can't even do this. I can't even do this. She's throwing too many different.
I'm not good. I'm not good at throwing a ball. You don't have to worry.
No doubt about it. How was your weekend? How was your weekend?
Oh, it's quiet. I stay to myself pretty much. I do my own thing. I'm just like watching the avocados come up. I'm playing with the doji. I'm just being, because you go outside and you look up at the sky and you look at nature and you say, if this whole country goes down, all of this that I'm looking at right now will still go on.
Mm-hmm.
It will still be the same. The sun will come out, the birds will fly, the trees will grow. It will be us that will be different. It's just sometimes where I go with weird thoughts of the day.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that works though? Like today, I went out to Belgrade today. Mm-hmm. And like when I was in town, right? It's weird, right? When I was in town, right? I had this funk on me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know how you just get that funk, and then once I got out there on the other side of Loxahatchee, right, heading on out 27 way toward you've been out. I'm sure you've been out to Belgrade before, going out there towards the lake, and just my whole attitude changed.
Yeah, it's really true.
Like, you get in out of the hustle and bustle of the city, and it's like, that dark cloud. That dark cloud was on me. Oh, jeez.
I wasn't going to start off with this, but now that you're on this topic, I picked up on Substack. Naomi Wolf wrote a piece about going into Manhattan, going into Brooklyn, all the places she used to hang out. And she wrote a piece that was so amazing. I sent it to everybody, mostly women, just because she's very feeling and touching. She was a liberal and a Democrat, so she comes from a place and a space where she recognizes where she came from, what it used to be like, and what it's like now. And she really feels that everything she's been fighting for these past 2 years, waking up and realizing that we've all been affected by sorcery, medical sorcery, which is how it started, this whole COVID thing, and realizing that all these young people in New York are wheeling their babies around in carriages, they're in the bookstores, they're acting as if this never happened. And she's like so taken with it. And, she writes, I had found that Brooklyn, alongside literary Manhattan, was oddly frozen in an amber of denial and silence. and she's so affected by that different feeling. She walks into the bookstore that she always used to go in with all the greatest writers and people who are out there, outspoken. She said, nothing on the shelves, nothing talking about COVID or the realities of it. No, they're writing about dogs and gardens, and everybody is avoiding the sorcery that they had just been hit with over the head with a hard bat. And it's just amazing, she says, she goes through the different authors, people that she actually knew. She says, so there is a massive hole in the central thought process of our culture. Isn't that true? Especially where the liberals are, where the progressive zombied people are. I'm just going to have to say that, because at this point, there is no excuse for being this asleep anymore. And
you know what?
She's just
go ahead.
No, she says, because lies embraced our whole culture since 2020, and because public intellectuals, for the most part, did not stand up to the lies at the time, and because many even participated in the lies, hello, Sam Harris, since horrible things happened to those of us who did stand up to the lies, most public intellectuals at this moment cannot address the really important events of the recent past.
Yeah.
They just don't know what to do with it, right?
They know what to do with it, right? And you brought up a good point, right? Here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Those of us that have been on the side of the right and the logical thinking and the common sense of this, right, have been proven correct, right? Now, right, which you would think everybody's, okay, God, they were right, okay, but now we add a sprinkle of partisan politics into it, right? So now for those people to be outspoken about, oh yeah, I guess that information was right. I guess the liberty loving people, the conservatives were right on this. The common sense people, the people that were shunned for saying this is the truth. Now, right? It's like they avoid us like we got sprayed with a skunk. Because, right? Because they don't want to in any way show that they align with us. They'd rather just put their head in the sand and just roll with the current flavor of the day.
Right, because they were scared from the start.
Mm-hmm.
They were scared and silenced and put their heads down, like the CCP comrades, and they're still afraid to come out and say anything until the media does it. You see, and they never will. They're never going to apologize or say, oh, we were wrong. They just move on with the next story, even if the next story says, okay, we've now discovered it came out of a lab and it was a leak. Okay, so now everybody can run along with that part of the story. But that's the end of it, cut off. If the media ever came out and said, I'm sorry, we were wrong, then they would rise to the occasion. But now, just along these lines, this is something I just came up with today. Like listening to this Dr. Redfield, who's now coming out and saying, well, I worked alongside Fauci and I knew this was going on and I eventually got let go because they didn't want me to speak. Here's a question. Why did it take him 3 years to come out and say this? And now he's also, alongside that statement, saying, I think there's going to be a much worse pandemic coming out now. I don't think what is being staged here for the next performance. They are so desperate, they're ready to create something horrible, something so frightening that definitely all the sheep will run right back into their fear mode. They'll go hide in their little caves again. they'll lock us down, they'll mask us up, they'll inject us to death, they'll do whatever they have to do, and it will be the same 5 million of us or 50 million of us or however many there are sitting here saying, are they doing this to us again? It's all planned out. It's but obviously.
I think this time, though, honestly, I think this time the people that finally saw the truth and the ones that been on the side of the truth the whole time is gonna be in that the Rick James skit from Dave Chappelle. Those of you that haven't seen it, you need to go see it. It's pretty funny. But the Dave Chappelle plays Rick James, and as he goes and lays on his white couch with his dirt on his shoes, he's like, "Fuck your couch," and that's what's just gonna happen. Fuck your couch.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's gonna be over. Their whole plan is just gonna dissipate because it's not going to work. Yes, there will be a virus. Right, we know that's coming, right? But people are going to actually die on that sword because they're tired of the lie.
Well, how many times can they keep going back and do another redo of the same thing that failed? And they're doing it with Trump now. They're going back and creating another impeachment, another Mar-a-Lago raid, they just keep going back and starting over. They don't know what to do next. This is. I see it as total and complete panic. However, this is moves and counter moves. So every time they do something, we do something. Then when we do something, they do something. So this is going to be a long couple of years now, and this is what we have to, I suppose, get accustomed to.
Right. The tit for tat, right?
Exactly, except it's bigger than tit for tat. I mean, it's not like you hit me, now I'll hit you back. It's intense, and it affects us to the point where everything hurts, right? I mean, our brains hurt, our arms hurt, our backs hurt, we can't sleep, we can't eat, we can't. We're all in a state that is not healthy for anybody. But we don't have a choice right now. We just have to, go through it. But when I was thinking about, sorcery really is the infection of the media touching everything, but the finances really stood out this week. They are trying to use these supernatural powers over us. I guess they think that they can do it, and they have control over us through the media, through so many people believing the Democrat Party. But if you really look at the media, is not doing so well. I mean, mainstream media. It looks to me like Rumble and Our Voices on Spreaker and all over the internet are getting louder and louder and louder, and people are starting to reach a point where they either don't listen to the mainstream media or they're choosing to listen to something that's true and it has more logic and reason. So, on that front, I think we are ahead of the game, but we don't know what they're going to do next. They could black us all out and leave one station, the BBC in World War II, that's it.
Right.
I mean, we don't know what they're capable of, but with the Chinese flying balloons over our heads and having infiltrated our entire culture and country, anything could happen right now. Are we still going to be able to maintain our strength and what we have inside of us and what we know if we can't hear anything anymore? There's where the real truth is.
Right. That's exactly right.
Right? Inside of us. Kind of like knowing God, if you have a religion, you remain true to that religion even though you can't see it, feel it, hear it, you hear it inside of yourself. So I was thinking about the SV Bank. I think I heard somebody say the Scuzzy Valley Bank. I was like, oh yeah, the Scuzzy Valley Bank. Mm-hmm. Do you know that the people that worked in that bank before the bank came down, they took like $2 million loans. They breached their judicial responsibility, and they gave loans to each other. And then, boom, the bank went down. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and then the Trump distraction happened, right?
Yeah, Trump
every
distraction.
time a little bit of information comes out, boom, let's get Trump. Yeah.
Meanwhile, UBS picks up Credit Suisse. Like, oh, that just, right? Like,
Yeah, so I call this friend of mine at Morgan Stanley, right? Now, you know, I'm full of questions. I'm not going to be nasty to anybody or not nice. I mean, he's an old friend. Oh no, he says, this is not coming out of taxpayer money. This is coming out of bank fees. I said, so who pays the bank fees? Well, the people that have their money in the banks. So what you're saying to me is that all the big banks are going to be fine and okay, and all the little banks are going to fall flat on their faces. Yeah. He says, yeah. That's as far as I got. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen going forward to people, but this is starting to be very real. And you know, if you think about Nazi Germany, didn't that happen in Germany too before Hitler took over?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I was just remembering that. So, you know, I love to get in a conversation with a liberal. Won't say what the relationship is. I said, what do you think about this whole Trump thing going on? Well, I think the world has to get over this puritanical thought process. I said, so...
What?
Okay. Yeah, no, you got it.
No, you pulling my leg, right?
No, I'm not. No,
Wow.
this is a very intelligent person. So I said, so you think that Trump absolutely had this affair with this woman, and it's the country that's not up with the times, that immoral behavior should just be accepted because he's a powerful man, and they should just stop. Yeah.
Wait.
I mean, so I said, wait a minute. So the world is about to go into World War III with nuclear bombs going off, and your attitude about this whole thing is that we're too puritanical in this country. No, I'm not. I couldn't make this up, Rod, if I tried.
Look, that's like that's whoever this person is. Seriously, that's like saying a woman should stay with her husband and continue getting raped because it is the more right. It is the behavior that needs to be accepted, that it's okay for women to be raped at random and will, married or not. Really, is this what this person's really thinking?
Well, also all over the world, France, Spain, wherever. Politicians, all these wealthy men, they all have women on the side. It should be no big deal. Well, you know what? On that level, I could agree with it. However, Trump was a private citizen, and he did not use slush funds to pay anybody off to be quiet, which I think every other frickin' politician since Bill Clinton, and we could probably go back 9,000 years, they all did this. And what the hell are we talking about here?
Right.
I mean, right? The world is coming to an end. Well, this country is too influenced by the white Christian people. You hear? That's what this person is saying. You see, when you really ask the right questions, you will get the nutso, down in the dirt answers that make no fucking sense on this planet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's where we are. That's where we are. I mean, it's reality. Okay, so we've been fooled since forever by the evil forces. However you want to identify them, we've been fooled. They're trying to steal our souls because they have to steal our souls in order to bring us into communism, to bring us into fascism and being controlled by the globalists. Now, I would love to hear what people feel about this or think. Never, not feel, think. So when Donald Trump was getting himself aligned with India, actually the BRIC nations back in 17, 18, China, Russia. So now China and Russia are forming an alliance, and they're going to use the Chinese money system. So they just threw us out into the backyard and said, you're in the trash heap. I don't know how many people realize that, but wake up, liberals. Your money's about to go in the trash heap. You know, they don't want the New World Order. They don't want it.
And again, right? And again, Val, here we are again, right? Here we are again, right? And what? Okay, we're just gonna put this out there, just like it is, right? The American people, right? Minus the 1% to 3% that understands what's going on right now, right? That's including people that listen to us. You know what I mean? You know, I got to give credit to the Steve Bannons of the world, right? The Dr. Robert Malones of the world, Peter McCullough, right? Those people, right? All of us that are in that 1% to 3% of people in the United States that understand this, the other 97% really do not have a grasp upon what this dynamic is creating, right? Because if we remember from World War II, it was Stalin that saved us from speaking German.
Yeah.
Right? It was the communists, even though they hated us, Stalin stopped Hitler. Yes, granted, there's people in Ukraine that died in Holodomor and all that stuff, right? But the whole of the complete situation is that Stalin saved America. And here goes Russia again saving America. What?
Well, that depends on how far this idiot in Washington, D.C. is going to push him. I mean, we don't know. This could be a very touchy situation. We don't know. Yeah. Maybe they've had enough of us. Maybe they're fed up and they're like, screw these Americans now. We're not doing this again. We're not going to kill all our millions and millions of people again.
Right.
You know.
Right. You're right. And I understand that wholeheartedly 100%. Right. Because we, again, right, we've allowed these people to perpetuate their history to us, reverse our paradigms to get people to believe that everything is inverted, and got people buying into the inversion and the perversion, right? Again, we're talking about the sorcery, right? How they've done that with the school books, people standing on the podiums and saying these different things in the images, like Biden standing behind that red and black dark thing in front of Independence Hall, like. That's the sorcery that 97% of the Americans are under. And they still out here fighting about red and blue.
And they think there's a race war. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they bought into it, lock, stock, and barrel. Did you happen to see that video where Fauci and I think it was Bowser in Baltimore? They go to this guy's house. Yeah, and they're interrogating him why he didn't get a vaccine. Yep. And he called out Fauci.
Yeah, he did.
It was beautiful. He did.
Yes,
he said, this is all about fear. How dare you do this to us? You come here to my house. Oh, it was beautiful. I mean, if everybody did that, we'd be in a much better place right now. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree at that 100%.
So here we are trying to be focused and peaceful, right? Because look, what we do know and what we see we're coming up against now is that they are trying. The Nazis. If you don't mind, I'm going to call the party that is thinking they're running our country right now. I'm going to call them the Nazis because I really feel that way at this point. There's no other way to look at them.
Call a spade a spade. Call a spade a spade. You know how we do.
Exactly. So they're looking to get us into this civil war, another January 6th, you know. But this is where I was listening to this fellow. Actually, I wasn't listening. I get his newsletter, and I find him to be just an interesting character. His name is Wayne Allen Root. He lives out in Vegas, and he's been, I think, a host on Newsmax, and he's been all over the place. He's done all this big building stuff, and he's just a character. So he writes in his newsletter, and he says, how are we going to actually do this? You know, they want to lock us down again. They want to take away our jobs, our businesses. They want to take away our freedom. How can we actually win this in a peaceful way? So just to share with everybody, because I thought this was just interesting. Whether this can be done or not, I don't know. But, you know, there's always hope, always miracles. So he says, we have to have a national patriot strike. A strike. If Trump is arrested, just as I've counseled for 2 years now, our response must be no violence, no civil war, no more January 6th where we're framed and painted as violent terrorists or insurrectionists. This is the perfect time for a national patriot strike. We can stay safely in our homes and shut this nation down to the weekend after Trump's arrest. We can grind the economy to a halt for 1 weekend. We can bring the Biden government, D.C. swamp, and deep state to its knees. Call it the Trump flu. Now, I like this. This is how we starve government.
Yep.
No shopping or buying means no tax revenue. We can tie up the entire nation for a weekend to make our point. The point is to show this country belongs to we the people. It's a warning shot to these government goons. We are the silent majority. We control the purse strings. If it's needed, we can grind the USA to a halt anytime we choose. We are all next in line for government persecution. The buck stops here. We will not allow America to become a combination of Nazi Gestapo and Soviet Gulag. The beauty of my ideas, we're all home, safe and sound. They can't hurt us. They can't intimidate us. They can't arrest us because we're literally doing nothing.
Right.
We can do it short term or we can go long term. Whatever is needed to save this country. I suggest the weekend after Trump's arrest, giving us a few days to coordinate. I think it's a pretty brilliant idea if we could coordinate this.
Yeah, I mean, see, the problem is, and here's the problem. It would definitely work, but here's the problem.
Yeah, no one will do it.
Well, it's because here's the thing, right? To get folks on we're all on the political right to organize that, to do something like that is like pulling teeth out of an 8-year-old child in the dentist chair, right? Now, you get the left, they will be out there on everything. They're out there ready to, but you get folks on the political right and they're like, I'm just going to go on about my day. I'm just going to go on about my business. You know, I'm not going to stand up and then become reactionary when stuff happens. When the sorcery starts affecting them, then, right? Oh no, we got it. It's like, we asked y'all to stand up with us back then, but y'all can organize, right? Here's the funny thing, right? And if I'm wrong, but y'all take this in a second as we go into break, right? The left, right? They do not organize around politicians. They organize around a specific cause. right?
Right.
The problem with the right is they will organize for a politician, except for outside of pro-life, right? They will organize and beat the street for a politician, but not for a particular cause or a cultural change. And this is why the left keeps winning the culture war, because a lot of our political friends on the right will not stand up when there's this thing happening, right? And I understand the persecution piece, this, that, and the other, but we have to look at it through the opposite lens, right? The left gets just as persecuted from the right as much as the right gets persecuted from the left. The problem is that the media only shows the persecution going in one direction and not both directions. So,
yeah, but think about 50 million people that didn't get the jab.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could make a difference. And just by the way, to finish this up, this Wayne Allen Root, he has a book coming out on the 28th of March, so it's right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Great Patriot Boycott Book. And he lists all the parallel conservative patriot businesses and to support them. And, you know, he says support the CEOs that love America and support American exceptionalism, capitalism, faith, and freedom. So I think it's good that he's organized an actual book of letting people know exactly where to go instead of where not to go. Because look at how many stores have shut down and are going out of business. I mean, we do have an effect on the economy.
Yes, we
do. When we stick together. Yep. So I would suggest that everybody go out and buy this book as a great reference of where to shop. It's called The Great Patriot Boycott Book by Wayne Allen Root.
We will definitely have to look into it. Hey, we got to do we got to pay the bills real quick. So y'all already know what to do, how it goes down. Get your cheese, wine, and crackers. Just make sure you don't sip too much on the wine, because you got to be coherent as we're talking to you, right? But y'all know what to do. Do the things. We'll be back here in 6 here on The Experience Today.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks ending higher on increased investor optimism about the banking industry, with shares of regional banks rallying and troubled U.S. lender First Republic leading the charge, while Treasury yields climbed sharply ahead of the Fed's rate decision on Wednesday afternoon. The Dow rising 316 points, then NASDAQ up 185, S&P 500 up 51. And shares of GameStop surging in after-hours trading after the video game retailer swung to a surprise profit during the holiday quarter. In the meantime, Nike beating third quarter earnings expectations, with its revenue increasing across the company's main segments. But despite Nike's strong quarter, the company's margins continue to take a hit. And Alphabet's Google began the public release of its chatbot Bard, looking for users and feedback to gain ground on Microsoft in a fast-moving race on artificial intelligence technology. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Do you want to know what's trending now? You can defer payments of a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. No payments and no interest for 6 months. This is a big deal. NetSuite by Oracle has never made an offer like this in its 22 years as the leading cloud financial system. 33,000 companies have already upgraded to NetSuite, gaining visibility and control over their financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need to reduce manual processes, boost efficiency, build forecasts, and increase productivity across every department. In fact, almost 90% of finance leaders agree that NetSuite helps them reduce manual data entry time. Whether your business generates millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, take advantage of this special financing offer of no payments or interest for 6 months at netsuite.com/quick. That's netsuite.com/quick. netsuite.com/quick.
situation is stabilizing. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The head of the Treasury Department trying to reassure Americans after 2 bank failures earlier this month.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen spoke today at a meeting of the American Bankers Association, and she said the government may backstop more deposits if necessary. Her comments come as Treasury Department staff are also reportedly considering whether to temporarily ensure all deposits greater than the FDIC limit of $250,000. Now, this idea of further guaranteeing deposits with government money is drawing ire from some Republican lawmakers. The House Freedom Caucus issued a statement calling the move, quote, a dangerous precedent.
Lydia Hu with Fox Business. Switzerland's government says it's ordering Credit Suisse to temporarily suspend bonuses for employees after coming up with a plan for this number 2 Swiss bank to be taken over by UBS. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump joined the family of a black man who died while being admitted to a mental health facility in Virginia.
To the governor of Virginia and the legislature, let's have Ivo's law. Let's don't have this happen to anybody again in the state of Virginia.
Ivo Otieno is seen on video slumped over onto the floor of the facility. 10 people, including deputies and hospital employees, have been charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors say they piled on top of him while he was handcuffed. They then are seen on video trying to resuscitate him. A 15-year-old arrested in a fatal shooting at a Dallas area high school will remain in custody following a detention hearing today. The shooting in Arlington left 1 student dead, another injured. The teenager has not yet been formally charged. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, Prime members. Top Fox shows like Fox News Hourly Update, The Five, Fox News Rundown, and hundreds of others are available ad-free with your Prime membership. To listen, download the Amazon Music app or visit amazon.com/Fox Hourly. With Amazon Music, you get access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts. Avoid the ads and listen to your favorite shows ad-free with the Amazon Music app or by visiting amazon.com/Fox Hourly. That's amazon.com/Fox Hourly.
Taiwan's president is said to visit the U.S. next week, and Beijing is warning against it.
The Office of Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen confirming she'll be stopping off in New York and California starting next Wednesday in between to visit Central America, travel Washington is carefully calling a transit of the United States. That's because while the U.S. supports the island democracy, it doesn't recognize the place the Chinese government Xi Jinping claims as its own. Even a transit has Beijing riled, a spokesman today saying it firmly opposes the leader of the Taiwan region sneaking off to the U.S. for any reason.
Fox's Craig Palcott. The Biden administration says the visit would fall in line with recent precedent and should not be used as a pretext by China to step up aggressive activity in the Taiwan Strait. The walkouts continue in France as garbage collectors, refinery workers, and others object to the move by President Emmanuel Macron to force the retirement age to 64 from 62 without a parliamentary vote. Paris police say more than 230 people were arrested today. Today marks 13 years for a cold case in Kentucky.
3 young men died after a bonfire party on this day in 2010.
Just keep it in the eyes of the public.
Gay Edge lost her son Clayton. She and the other parents claim they were each shot once in the head while asleep inside a home in Winchester. The state police are still investigating the deaths of Clayton Edge, Dustin Browning, and Robert Reese. Robert's father, Carl Reese.
Years kind of rough. It's just hard, you know.
The parents are now turning to the community for help, and they've started a petition to try and get the FBI involved. CJ Papa, Fox News.
The Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus is back without animals. Feld Entertainment, which owns the greatest show on earth, says performances will include acrobats on a triangular high wire 25 feet off the ground, flying trapeze artists, a spinning double wheel powered by performers, and a BMX trail bike exhibit. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
I'm getting complaints that someone on the team smells really bad every day. How do I address that?
Talk to Bambi.
So one of our employees just reported sexual harassment, and I don't even have a policy on how to deal with this. What do I do?
Talk to Bambi.
One of our people never shows up when they're supposed to. What are my options?
Talk to Bambi. With Bambi, get access to your own dedicated HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambi's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambi starts at $99 per month. Start your free conversation today to see how much Bambi can take off your plate.
Visit Bambi.com and type Fox Brief under Smart Speaker when you sign up. Spelled BAMBEE.com. Fox Brief Smart Speaker.
Welcome back on this lovely evening here on The Experience Today. Remember, if you're not subscribed to Southern Liberty, make sure you do that. Find it anywhere you get your lovely podcasts, all that good stuff. If you if you're listening on the open airwaves in South Florida, Southeast Georgia, and the good old state of Utah, I appreciate you, love you for that. And we're gonna try our best to push into some other markets here come summer. I have my eye, and I don't know how successful it's gonna be, but I have the biggest eye on Atlanta. Getting into the Atlanta market. But I do have my short-term goal of getting into Southwest Georgia, like Columbus, in that area. So I want to swing that. I don't want to do too much. I don't want to go east towards Savannah just yet. Because my thinking is, if I can get into the Atlanta market, Savannah's going to be easy. Columbus is a whole nother market because that's a military market, right? So that's a whole different paradigm. So that's kind of that. I thought I've been thinking about it over the weekend, and I think that's I want to try to get into Atlanta. So, y'all pray for us. Y'all stay here with us, support us. Those of you that do, support us. All the proceeds are going towards the marketing piece and getting us in other markets, expanding us, et cetera, et cetera. So I love y'all 100% for that. We were talking about financial sorcery, then it turned into all out sorcery because it's all combined, right?
It always does, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a wide web of sorcery, and they just pick which spell to put on you to move you into a certain position to comply a certain way so they can continue with their agenda the other way. But what are your other thoughts?
I think that the money sorcery is right at the helm. What did Jesus say? Money is the root of all evil. And, to some extent it certainly is. I mean, we see evil flowing in front of us, in terms of the banks and the money right now. I don't know how people feel, but I'm like, I knew from a kid how to balance a checkbook. I knew how to look at my expenditures. I knew how to budget money. I knew how to use a credit card. And now all of a sudden we're looking at, since we blew the entire monetary system on you fools, now you're going to have to figure out not only how to learn a new system, this digital currency they're throwing at us like an attack bomb, but we're going to control your asses through it too. And we are not going to let you buy ammunition, guns. You're not going to be allowed to buy meat more than twice a month. And it's a whole control mechanism that we're looking at. If they succeed, we're in DFT. So, this is vitally important. And I also think, luckily, most people are very tuned into their finances, as we can see. You go to the supermarket, everybody's like shaking their heads. You're in the banks, everybody's shaking their heads. You go to the gas station. This is hitting people right where they needed to get hit to start waking up and paying attention. And it's one of the few ways to get people to pay attention. So this is really at the forefront of almost every battle we're fighting, because even these wars are about money, the military complex. These countries now taking away our American dollar being used, and you have to use the the yuan, the Chinese currency. This is frightening. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think it's frightening that we are being put in a position by the Nazi Party that we can't function in a way that we've known all our lives. I don't like it. I don't like it. You're taking my money. I did not give you permission to take my money. I want my money back. I want my tax money back.
But you know what though, Ms. Val? Here's the thing, right? The government. Let's see how. Let me word this correctly. The government took silence and action as consent. I mean, think about this a minute, right? Let's look at COVID, right? How many businesses were ran out of business at the end of the day?
A lot.
Right? How many businesses were shut down because of COVID? Right? Hitting people in their pocket. But see, that didn't affect the little guy. Right? Because most of these people that were protesting during the COVID were not small business owners. They're not even technically part of the middle class. I mean, they might have been by default because of virtue of their parents, but that wasn't their money. That's their parents' money. Right. And I'm sure those same people heard their parents complaining about the pocketbook. Oh, we got to do this. Meanwhile, Antifa, that ain't got nothing else to do. Right? Out here running around in the damn streets like they doing something.
They were getting paid.
They were getting paid to infuse government coercion. Right? So now those of us that were kind of those people that were silent during this whole thing. Oh, we should be shutting businesses down. They didn't say anything. Okay, that's compliance. We're doing the right thing. And then the loud ones were like, keep it shut down. Wear your mask. You need a vaccine card to go into this business. And the government took that as compliance, but they took that as consent of the governed. Right? And they continued pushing forward instead of everybody being on one page about no. This is not what we're doing, but too many people, and they took the coercion both directions, and they just kept doing what they were doing. They're like,
Yeah, and never. What did Nancy Pelosi say? Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yep.
Yeah, they took the ball and ran with it. They said, "Oh, we're getting away with this. Let's keep going." And now they're going to try it again, just like they're trying everything repeatedly, the same thing over and over. So what's the problem when you're playing with other people's money? You know, finance, government, activism. You know, it's other people's money. They don't care. But what's fascinating about all of this, and again, it's just what we said, moves and counter moves before. If you look at that, they're now, actually CNN, I saw a clip today, CNN is actually saying, wow, Hunter Biden actually was on the board of a Chinese company, and the brother and the wife and the sister and the whole family were getting money from the Chinese Communist Party, and oh my God, these are the talking heads on CNN saying this now. So at the same time, they have to come out and do something to totally distract the audience. Oh, we're going to go after Trump for pulling down his zipper. This is much more interesting. Look over here. This is what they keep doing. And eventually people are going to they're just going to tune out and not listen to this anymore. But, you know, this all really started, and we always talk about this in the 50s. You know, we're always talking about, gee, what happened in the 50s? Well, we got TV for one thing, right? I'm not sure the year, but radio was early. Early, I don't even know what year radio started. I could take a wild guess. I don't know. But I think television was the real mass distraction and probably the beginning of the CCP actually digging their nails into our culture. You know, making us sort of believe in make-believe. I don't know that much about Walt Disney when he first started. He might have been a really good guy. He might have been a piece of garbage. I don't really know. I never did a personal study on him. I heard he was a depressed person, which it kind of makes sense when you look at Disney World and all the fantasy. He might have been depressed, and that's what created his beautiful shows, as it were. But so the 50s, business was really starting up. The concept of your own business, of really doing things on your own. So people, the newspapers too were very big then, right? It wasn't just TV; it was newspapers and magazines. We got affected by all the pretty stuff, the beautiful stuff. So the temptation became something we could see and grab and want. It's still that way. I mean, Bruce brought home a magazine from one of the jewelry stores the other day. He was down at Bal Harbor. I got to tell you, I was looking at this magazine with a totally different eye than I would have just a few years ago. It was decadent. It was immoral. And these are the models, like women that looked like these gaunt, purple-haired, bathed in jewels with their legs open so you could look at their crotches. I was like, no, this is really disgusting. This is awful. I don't want to look at this. And the jewels, and I can't even look at it anymore. I mean, I used to look at this stuff and say, oh, this is really beautiful, I don't want it, but it's nice, and to the people who can afford it, isn't that wonderful? I can't see this going on much longer. I just, and maybe it's me, but I can't see how these massive, top-notch Italian-like designers of jewelry and shoes and Gucci's and Fendi's and Worth Avenue and Hollywood Boulevard and who are they selling this stuff to? Maybe I'm just losing it. I've so stepped out of that environment with intention. I did step out with intention. I didn't want any part of it anymore. I didn't want the people around me who were doing it anymore. I'm much happier living with horses and goats and cock-a-doodle-doos all around me. But, so I think what I'm saying is that life right now is like taking notice of when something is out of joint. And to me, that whole picture of Fendi and Gucci and this unreal environment is starting to seem really out of joint with the prospect of our EMP getting messed with, our water, poison, nuclear bombs. Like, what part of those two avenues don't go together? You get what I'm saying? I'm all over the place with this. I don't know how the world is just...
It is everywhere. Go ahead. No, it is everywhere because there's too many. You can't when we're dealing with this type of sorcery, right?
Yes, it is sorcery.
It's so many things are coming into the center web, right? And at the center of the web is the Black Widow, and the Black Widow are the capitalists, right? The multi-billion-dollar capitalists of the world. Right. Let's make no mistake. What we're looking at, right? It's these multi-billionaire capitalists that are bastardizing capitalism because they have pushed their agenda in certain countries that are resource rich to pass laws in their favor. Now, when the Democrats talk about tax the rich, they have a point, but again, introspection fails the Democrat Party every single time. They fail. They get an A and everything else, but they fail with a big F in introspection, right? Because they don't understand that they're upholding the people that are doing the dirt, right? Talking about tax the rich. Those rich people don't live in the United States, right? Those people live in Switzerland. They live in tax havens, right? They can't ever be touched. And they have regulations in other countries that they live in that they cannot be touched. So at the end of the day, go ahead, tax the rich. Yay, tax the rich. But you're failing to see that none of those rich people live here. And number two, your party, right, and along with quite a few Republicans, right, are part of that rich group of people you're trying to tax, but you're trying to sound virtuous and good. That's why the millionaires and billionaires on the left, they either say, oh, yeah, I'll pay my fair share, or they are silent because they know it's a farce and a gaslight.
Yeah, I was reading this thing today. Back in the day after the crash of 1929, some wizard decided that 10% down on stock purchases wasn't too bright. So now you have to put up 50% of the stock price when you buy on margin. So where was the wizard to convince us after 2008 that maybe it wasn't a good idea to have 30-year fixed real estate loans with 10 or 20% down that could wipe out finance giant Lehman Brothers in a Wall Street minute? Where are these wizards? Well, actually, the Democrat Party are non-wizards, and you just said it. I mean, they are, when it comes to economics, they're just dumb, stupid. Everything they do turns to garbage. They just don't understand how people operate. The CCP understands, though. They bought up half of our farmland already. They understand. They get it. They're shutting us down so that they can be numero uno. So where was the wizard? This guy is referring, I guess, to the wizard of finance. Where was the wizard to convince us that boosting the money supply by 40% to fight a world war, COVID wouldn't get solved by ramping up interest rates at the fastest rate in history? Where was the wizard to convince us to wind up NATO after 1989 and make Europe manage its own defense and grow the cajones to deal with Russia on its own? Oh, do you think Trump didn't try that? They didn't listen to him. They wouldn't listen to him. Everybody thought things were just going to stay the same.
Right. That's exactly right. Yep. That's exactly right.
So we're running out of wizards at this point, aren't we? Well, actually, we're not. I go up and down with being hopeful and being hopeless. I guess we all do. But, at the end of the day, we're going to eventually prove that CRT is against the law, and these people need to be sued. That's going to change things a real lot. Civil rights law. We're going to criminalize sexualizing children. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. Our country is getting destroyed by this. There's no other way to look at it. It's sick. And every other country in the world is, I don't think they're laughing at us. I think most of the countries in the world feel really sorry for our state of affairs.
Yeah.
Soros has to go down. He's got to go. And it's starting to come out. His name is coming up a lot. The administrative state. Yep. Climate cult. We got that. We have to enforce the rule of law.
That's right.
Jail. Guess what? You do this, you go to jail. You do that, you go to jail. You don't get out bail free. This bullshit has to stop. And then we're going to take our country back. And, I think at the end of the day, Rod, we will. I think at the end of the day, this is going to go on for a long time, but we will get stronger and stronger. And we'll have more and more of an effect. And they will have less and less of an effect. But they'll still be there, just like the Communist Party has always been in this country. They're not going anywhere.
Look, here's the thing, right?
Difference is,
You want to know how we really win, how we take our country back. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again for the newcomers or the people that may have missed it for some or need a reminder on how we do this. Mm-hmm. We need to get outside of the two-party paradigm to take this country back.
Absolutely.
We need to elect people that are not affiliated, like, again, right, going back to the national divorce argument, right? Yeah, you know what? Don't vote for a D or an R. Vote for the I. Or I'm going to say, let me take that back. Don't vote for a R, D, or L. Vote for an I. And this is me as a downwing libertarian saying this, right? Because the parties still at the end of the day want control of the state to impose their will. No, we don't want that. We want people that's going to go in there and reconstruct our government the way it is supposed to be. Back to basically what the Constitution says, into its monarchist state that it's originally the Constitution is written for, and leave it alone and dismiss all the regulatory state, all of the administrative state, all of that gone. But until people are ready to not be scared and step outside of that red and blue camp, they're going to continue pitting us against each other, have us fighting each other, and have us all indoctrinated in a certain way so they can keep power.
Yeah. It's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while because people are married. They're married to the D, they're married to the R, they're married to whatever letter they affiliate with that day. And you know, here's the thing, right? Everybody should be an I, and let the D or the R or the L win your vote. Not just because the person has a D behind your name. You just got to go, oh, it's a D and that's how I've always voted. Boom. But how does that always voting that same way all the time change your life?
Yeah. Yeah. Take a look.
Right.
Yep. We got it. Yeah. People have to just start looking at reality, at the issues, and take back our human rights.
Yeah.
This whole, you know,
I mean,
the end times are going to be the end of chaos and the beginning of truth. I mean, that's what we're talking about, truth.
Right. And here's the thing, right? Here's the other thing, right? And when we're talking about getting back to its monarchist state, right? And we're talking about this financial sorcery, right? If we just install the Constitution as it was written, there is no more Fed. The Fed no longer has the power delegated to them by the legislative branch to print money at will.
Wow.
Right?
Sounds like heaven.
Right? I mean, that dissolves the whole thing. You dissolve the regulatory state, you dissolve the Fed.
Yeah.
And guess what? You know how many people would be out of pocket and out of their minds? All the globalists, all the progressives on the left and the right, because they can no longer use the Federal Reserve as a war bank, right? These other countries in the world, like NATO, cannot use the IMF and the World Bank as a war bank anymore if we take away the Fed. They'd be in a world of hurt. Everything they own would be worthless. Zero.
That's like the best thought on the planet. What you just said is like, to me, it's like heaven. To actually live long enough to see that, even starting. Like to really see that picture. Like Disney World.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Cast my net to the right. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what we got. That's what we have to fight for and get people to understand. Like I mean, liberty matters on every single level. Every single level, your liberty matters. Financial liberty, individual liberty. You know what I mean? Like all of it matters. But you have to know which systems and institutions to take down. Right? Like honestly, besides
Big Pharma, take them down too while you're at it.
Well, look, if you take down the regulatory state, you literally take down Big Pharma. I mean, the regulatory state and big pharma and the military industrial complex is so interwoven into regulation. Like, if you just dismantle the regulatory state, that's it. You're going to fall apart. Yep. Because remember, big pharma's tied into the FDA, the USDA, right? They're all tied into that. You just tear that right down. That's it. What do they have at that point? Nothing.
Nothing. Let's give them nothing on a plate. Here's your dinner. Nothing. Mm-hmm. And you'll have nothing and be happy.
Yeah. That's exactly correct. Yeah, that's exactly correct. Mm-hmm. But they will have nothing and be happy. No, wait, they'll be pretty mad. They'll be trying to start a civil war in our country if we ever did that, right?
You're trying to do that now. What do we got to lose?
But look, they still control the systems, right? And besides breaking the quote unquote the financial system, breaking the Fed, right? I would break that system of quote unquote racism they created. I would break that. That would really put a damper on a whole lot of crap. Because now they can't profit off of skin tones.
Yeah, like everything. Yeah.
They can't profit.
It's amazing how each one of these issues is so powerful. Mm-hmm. Each one. There's so much power. And if we could just start busting it all up, the whole thing would collapse. Everything would collapse at once, like a giant earthquake.
You know, speaking of the race thing, right? You know, it's interesting. I had posted it on Twitter. I mean, and I posted it for the Southern Liberty family and Patreon, and I posted it on Twitter, right? About how the OMB and a working group out of the Census Bureau were redefining what race is and adding in a new racial characteristic. And all my quote unquote people that pride themselves on skin tone, right? And all that. It was like, yeah, we got to do something about this system and this, that, and the third. Even people on TikTok, you know, I went back and asked all those people that commented on my Twitter and commented on my TikTok and asked them, how many of y'all listened to that working meeting? Oh, I didn't get a chance to listen to it. I had other things to do. I said, but this race thing's important to you. I sat there and listened to all 6.5 hours of that thing in my ear. I'm cooking outside, mowing the lawn. I'm listening to it in my ear because I'm trying to figure out what other way are they going to pin us against each other, the government. Mm-hmm. And these people sat here and told me, oh, no, I gave you the information. Then listen, and then you could even chime in with a comment. I even commented on their live stream. My comments up there. Right, but
I know the feeling.
Right, but racist. But it's so I look at these same people, and I'm waiting for them to talk about how racism, white supremacy. I say you could have done something about it. You could have had some input on the changes. At least put yourself out there. But you decided to do something else.
Yeah, that's the frustration we're all living with right now. That we see so much. And we can't get some of these people to just wake up and see what's in front of them or listen or take some time out. I always hear the same thing from people. Oh, I don't have the time. I don't even know how to buy gold and silver. I don't even know. How do you not know? You just turn on the TV. They're all over the place. They're on the radio. They're up your behind. What do you mean you don't know?
Right. Look. You have everybody nowadays, unless you're really living like, you know what I'm saying, back in the 70s and 80s, which a lot of people still do because they are afraid of technology. And I get it 100%. I support y'all in that. Right. But you literally have, if you own a tablet or a phone, you literally have the Library of Alexandria in your hand. There is no reason you don't know how to do this or know how to buy that or know how to make this. You have the Library of Alexandria in your hand or in your back pocket, or you using that device to listen to us tell you have the Library of Alexandria in your hand. Use it.
Yeah. You know, everybody just wants to go out to their restaurants and have their drinks and party with their friends, and they just don't want to think about reality. And when it hits, it hits. You turn turn around and walk the other way and say, I told you. I tried to tell you. You don't want to listen? You don't want to listen. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Nothing.
We have to have faith, right? That's true. We just have to have faith that there's a higher force above us, that in God's time, this is all going to work itself out, and it might not be in our time, and it might be a lot slower than we'd like, but we have to stay focused and patient and have faith. That's our job.
Yeah, that's our job. Hey,
yeah.
Appreciate the conversation as always, Miss Val, and I appreciate everybody coming through this evening for the discussion. Make sure you stop by Friday night for Fried Up Friday. I don't know what's going to be on the reel because I got to watch news during the week. Obviously, y'all know how we get down, but make sure you stop by. Phone lines will always be open. And I just hope y'all have a great week. Until next time, y'all. Life, love, liberty, and happiness. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Southern Liberty Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media. Subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.bpmg.us or leave a rating and review on iTunes. To catch all the latest from Roderick, you can follow him on social media at manofjustice007. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.